Welcome to episode 2 of Building a Deck. So of course I built 3 decks in a matter of months, playtest them all and they all work. So I'm keeping an eye on the meta and seeing exactly where the game's going. But I have a bad crossroads here. Which one do I actually take to the WCQ? You know, they're all good, they all work, they're all very versatile. But the problem is I can take one of them to the competition and actually flop and be unconfident, or take a deck I know exactly how to play and really top deck like a boss. Or you got the other type of deck where you just completely spam a lot of synchros, fusions and exceeds just like a bitch, you know. So I've got to think about it. You've got a strategic deck, you've got mass spam, and of course you've got mass exceed. So there are a lot of versatile decks that I do have myself, so I have to really sit down and decide which type of deck to use. So they're good, they're all really good. So of course here's the 3 decks that I built out of all the cards that I've had left over from the many years that I played Yu-Gi-Oh! You've got Infernities, you've got Bubble Beat, and of course you've got my favourite deck of all, Dino Rabbit. So if we go through with Infernities first, basically the deck runs itself. You've got 3 barriers, 3 Infinity Infernos, and 3 Infinity Breaks. Of course, if you don't know what barrier does, it's just freaking a boss. That's all you really need to know about that card, and it's incredibly expensive to find. Since Infernities have now gone up in price because of Void Ogre Dragon coming out, this really makes Infernities a bit more interesting and versatile to play. You only have a really low spells and very low monsters, and it's very trap heavy, so you're going to see a lot of people trying to storm your back doors. But it's one of those decks where if you've got the right cards at the right time, it just goes off. Sometimes I think I should change some of the lineup of the monsters, like the Dark Grepher and the Armageddon Knight, and change it to something like Pop Dualities, but that's in the process. Of course you can see there's a proxy card, which is another Infinity Avenger, when it eventually comes in the post. I was just going to run 1, but I see it as a bit pointless because you've only got 1 tuner in the deck. Of course you can exceed with this deck as well, but it really depends. I could stick a Leviair in here, so when I banish the Infinity Mirage due to the effect of 100 Eyes Dragon, and then I can bring it back. So there are ways around it. Of course Bronyak's a good idea because you gets rid of most of your hand and bounces a lot of cards back to your opponent's hand. Stardust is just a tech card. 3 Void Ogre Dragons, of course, because it is a Shien for Infernities. A lot of other people say you can play this in Black Wings and other type of decks, but I definitely tell you it only goes in one deck. Infernities. So this deck has worked pretty good for me so far. It's not autopilot because you have to seriously think about what you're going to do. Once you get your first 5 cards, you really have to start thinking, okay, what do I do? Because it's so trap heavy, the traps have to be very good. Otherwise the deck just does not work. So I'm going to play test this a bit more and see how far it goes, because at the moment Infernities are doing really good. So I may change it, I may take it out a bit more. It just really depending on if I want to take this to the WCQ. Okay, then we go on to Bubble Beat, which at the moment it's nearly finished. There's a few cards that I'm waiting for in the post, of course, but Bubble Beat has done pretty well. This is my version of it, of course, anyway. I mean, you have to have 3 Aliases and Gemini Sparks, otherwise the deck doesn't work. 3 Equals, of course, and a Reinforcements of the Army, and Miracle Fusions, you have to have 3. 2 Super Polys, because having 3 just really is ridiculous and stupid. 2 Mask Change, I may put that down to 1 because I rarely ever see it, and when I do see it, I just don't need it. 2 MSTs is better than 3 because sometimes you really don't need to keep destroying your opponent's back row, and a Storm. And of course a Monster Reborn. The trap lineup is going to be just 2 Warnings, a Solemn Judgment, which probably change anyway, and Double Torrential. Now of course with the fusions, Double Inferno, of course there's going to be more than 1 Absolute Zero, but I'm still waiting for those in the post, as I said. Vapor is a brilliant card because it gets around things like Torrential. So if you summon a Bubble Man, for instance, and they go Torrential or Bottomless, activate Mask Change, and Vapor comes to the field, and it's unaffected by card effects, which is brilliant. You've got Grand Tornado, 2 Gaia, of course, just in case you want to go into Diane, or Dane, or however you want to pronounce that card, and of course it steals half of your opponent's attack points to their monster. And of course the great card is the Shining, which it will be another one in there when that comes through the post. And of course Blade Armored Ninja is a brilliant card. I played this in Ninjas and it really did work. Because of its effect, it can attack twice. So if your opponent has nothing on the field, 44 damage. That's quite a bit of a huge hit to take. Okay, its attack points are weak at only 22, but it really does kick ass when you need it to. So it's a really good deck, Bubble Beat. I'm not going to say it's crap, because it's not, because it's really good. It just mass spams fusions left, right and centre. You've got Miracle Fusions, you've got Super Poly. It basically really is like a Snatch Steal. It really is awesome. It takes out a lot of decks, and really your opponent wastes all their time in exceeding or fusions or synchro in for their big beat sticks, and you just go Super Poly. You can't negate Super Poly at all, which is a really awesome card because it's a speed spell 4, which counteracts even counter cards, which royally screws over everyone that's tried their hardest to really make a big decent play. And of course someone goes, nope, you're not having that, Super Poly. And then next of all you've got of course Dino Rabbit. Now on to the main deck I use at the moment, which is Rescue Rabbit. Everyone by now knows what Rescue Rabbit does, but if you don't, you sound out Rescue Rabbit, you banish it, bring 2 level 4 or lower vanilla monsters to the field, and they're destroyed at the end of your turn. Basically, it's mainly to get out Sabersaurs, or Sabersaurus, and Cabasaurs. Works perfectly to get out things like Lugia, Darker, and Utopia Rain. You want to run 3 Lugias and 2 Darker. You don't run too many other cards. You only want to run 1 or 2 Utopias and 1 Utopia Ray, which gives it an added bonus. Then you've got like the tour guides that can bring out Zenmaines, Leviair, and of course Leviathan Dragon. The Thunder Kings stop like Bubble Beat players and hero players and dead in their tracks because they search a lot. And you've got a lot of things like Effect Veiler that will stop a lot of chances for your opponent to do. Marshmallow's one of my tech cards. I may add another one depending. Gauze, BLS, and Sangan all staples, of course. 3 dualities. 3 dualities work so much better than having 3 gold socks. So I thought having 3 pop dualities and 2 gold socks work so much better because you do not have to wait. You get to look at 3 cards into the future and pick one of those cards that could be a massive game changer to you. 3 MSTs in a storm, obviously. Dark Hole, all the other staples. When it comes to the traps, there are 2 different versions of the Dino Rabbit trap lineup. Bottomless, Compulse, or it's D-Prisons that come out and Bottomless goes in, or there are a few different variations of the trap lineup I have, so I won't be giving my little tech cards away, since the WCQ is not so far away and I don't want my deck being net decked. But of course it's commonly stapled as it is, and of course double torrential, which really does help this deck out. Now, looking at all these decks, they all do something different. Mash special summoning of synchros, mash special summoning of fusions, and mash special summoning of exceeds. So there's 3 different eras of cards: fusions, synchros, and exceeds. So they're all very versatile decks, and they have one purpose of mash special summoning. So the annoying thing is most of these decks are up to date, and they're all teched out, they're ready to go, minusing Bubble Beat just needs its extra cards to come through the post, but they're all there. The deck is 100% there. But the annoying thing is playtesting all these decks. We playtested the Rescue Rabbit, Dino Rabbit / deck, works perfectly. We've got a new few tech cards for that one. Infernities, I've got a few more tech cards for that deck because it just goes off brilliantly. Bubble Beat is one deck that I have a few ideas for. There's a few different variations of Bubble Beat, or you've got Hero Beat. Hero Beat's a good deck, but it really needs a bit more oomph, whereas Bubble Beat really is awesome. So these are the 3 main decks that I will be playtesting in the near future. Now, depending on, as I said before, how far these decks go, will be the one I take. At the moment, Dino Rabbit seems to be the one sticking out. The most expensive deck I've ever created, and from help from Neonex to Scapegoat User and a Gem of the Bomb, we've made this deck a powerhouse deck. Extremely powerful, very versatile, and it's an annoying control deck to get around. So hopefully I'll be taking Dino Rabbit, but it all depends on how these other two decks do in our testals. So, until episode 3, this is Mr. Sasuke Dragon signing out on the road to the WCQ.